used to be John Kellerman's, and I forked out too much money to pry from his hands. But this is a mock-up display. It's foam core. It depicts Vader and Fett and Stormtrooper and R2-D2. So all you Focus collectors, you'll never have this because I got it. Sorry. I'm kidding, guys. But this is a really nice display. If you guys get a chance to come up and look at it closely, you can see that it's actually a photo collage. They basically cut out individual photos of these things and kind of pasted them onto the display. The logo itself, I think, is the stickered logo. It's a giant black and white foam core logo display. Not too exciting. Very big, though. I like big stuff. Here's a shot of a 41 hangar concept. Probably not too many of you have seen this before, but basically, I can't really tell. This is just a photograph of it, but it looks like some of those are hand-drawn on the top there, the newer ones, pasted onto the other one. So this is kind of what the 41 initially was envisioned as. So if you remember that 41 hangar with the figures, which, this one, that's kind of what that started out as, I suppose. Here's a nice shot of, this is just a concept display. This was never created. I don't know if it was, probably wasn't ever mocked up, but just a concept shot of what it could have been. Really nice looking. Too bad they didn't make it. All right, so this is where I put the 41.
So this is the piece I talked about before, where I think this is a production piece. Will thinks that maybe this is just a prototype.
We're going to arm wrestle for it at the end of this if you guys want to. Todd, you win. All right, this is another little variation thing that probably doesn't matter to most of you, but it's got a little bit of bold printing. This is basically another step in the process of creating this 41 display. So you can see the bold font on the bottom, and there's some trademark differences in it. So basically, anyways, making a display is not just slap a photo onto a piece of cardboard. There's a lot of thought and work that went into it, just like with any of the toys as well. And there's more. Hey, this is what we were doing. They were resizing 41 and turning it into one that showed the figures. I brought along some artwork too. This artwork is from the 48 display, and the Death Star I have up on the table if you guys want to look at later, and I've got some others on the easel. Basically, this was used on the 48 display, and again, you guys can come up and look at it a little bit later. Some of the photos and slides that were used for it. There's the Hoth background, orange background, sunny background, and that's the display. You can kind of see what it's used for. So I brought along some other artwork. Again, this came from the same guys who made the display. Whether this was used for, this was conceptual stuff or not, I don't know. But I kind of was guessing that it might have been in prep for this little Toy Fair photo that came from Chris's collection. I don't really know for sure, but it's really cool artwork. And I brought that also. You guys can take a look at it after the show. All right, some small headers. These I brought as well. You can come up and take a look at them. Here's something from Chris's collection, which I thought was really cool. It's a photo collage mock-up. Basically what was used to make the poster display. So the first shot is just the Xerox copy, and then there's an overlay, basically them telling somebody, hey, this is what color we're going to put on the logo, and that's the photo collage. Here's some concept art from the sweepstakes. Go along with that poster. Here's another unused concept art display, which I couldn't bring because it was too big. And there's a little part of the Force shelf talker. And I'm trying to speed through this. So here's some sticker sheets. So this is what I was talking about with the merchandising display. at the beginning of this, used for toy fairs, use these to mock up, they probably use these sheets to mock up change in logos. So if they had a Star Wars box vehicle, they stuck the Empire logo. But they also use these to create the displays as well. And you can see on this Power of the Force shelf talker, it's got these logos over here were essentially cut out from that sticker sheet right there. Oh, there, look at the picture right there. There you go. And so basically examples of where they were used. So the sticker sheets were used for the mocking up of the displays. I'm going to skip over this stuff because we're running out of time. Some international displays. Again, we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to cycle through a lot of this quickly. This is another nice display. These come up every once in a while. Actually, one just came up on eBay over the last few months. It's actually pretty tough to find. Nice to have. Goes along with 12 header. This is the Canadian version of the 20. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but basically the sticker is elongated because it's covering the French translation of the offer, the Boba Fett offer. This one is, you can see also that it's made on a thinner chipboard. So these Canadian ones were all thinner chipboard, whereas the Kenner ones were hard cardboard. This is another one that's unfindable. Scott Badley needs to give this to me. All right, so this is another very nice display. It goes along with that 21 header, except this is kind of the Empire version that was never created in the United States. It's basically used in Canada only. And there's an English version and a French version of that. And I brought those to show you guys. Here's a Palatoy poster. Palatoy stuff is just really tough to find, especially if you live in the United States of America. Palatoy logo header. Some Palatoy shelf talkers from Duncan's collection. Very cool stuff. And Palatoy Jedi header. It's from Todd's collection. German one there.
So this is another pre-packed display. It's equivalent to the US 12-back bin. They made this and the Collect All 21 second series. There's their bins for these, but the 21 is definitely the much harder of the two. And even this, I probably know of about 8 or 10 different examples. But what's interesting, this happens with a lot of foreign things. So it's actually in the early 90s, Star Wars collecting was much more popular in the US than it was in Europe at the time. And so a lot of stuff came over here. And a lot of times people overseas were trying to get Kenner items. And what I found is that I've had a lot of German collectors that are now trying to get back some of these things that came back over this way, and same with Palatoy stuff. This is a diorama display from Germany. I've seen different configurations. This is a molded plastic base, and I've seen different configurations of figures and vehicles on there, and then it's a cardboard background with the Falcon image on it. I love collecting puzzles, and so I was really excited to get this complete box of the puzzles from Germany. I also had a focus on Lily Letty collecting, and so my friend Luis Villagomez spotted this display in Mexico, 6 or 7 years ago, and I was able to work it out, and I was very excited. It's the US, it's like the US Collect All 65, but from Lily Letty. It's the only example I've ever heard of.
These pictures I swiped from Matthias, you probably already saw them if you went to the panel yesterday, but these are, they're really cool looking displays, so I threw them in there anyways.
We did get his permission to use the photos just to
I took them.
All right, so these are photos from old toy trade magazines, just showing just pictures from actual stores, and so just kind of neat to see like how things were used, and also just the fact that a lot of stores, you'll notice that on the one, if they're hanging the Darth Vader art sign from the ceiling, and so they could just take product rather than actually getting displays. They would just sort of take things that they already had to use them as displays. Here's another one. You see a bunch of special offer land speeders, a whole stack of them. bunches of TIE fighters and Leia dolls. And this, I love this mannequin of this. They've just taken a mannequin and putting like a bathrobe on him and given him some mocked up lightsaber.
That's actually Todd. I'm really seeing
Kenner would send out what they call repro art catalogs, where they would have these line art images of action figures, and they would send them out to do advertising, and so stores could make their own pieces. And so we'll.
Vintage store displays or such a small plastic that there's not a lot of outfitting. How do I know actually it's vintage pieces or is it just some things that are
Yeah, I don't think there's. I haven't really seen any counterfeit displays. I mean, there was one guy who was selling like mini laser copy versions of John Kellerman's photos in his book, but I've never seen a counterfeit display, to tell you the truth. So
Yeah, there was
I don't
one-
think that's really a problem.
Yeah, there was one vendor on eBay who was selling like half size. I mean, they were being intentional about putting them in a different size. But I haven't. You said you have to have. It's because of the size. It's pretty expensive to do the printing. It's one thing to get a small, action figure card printed, but even I we were doing some posters that we'll have up here later for the panels. And getting larger. When you start getting larger size things printed, the costs go up so much that it's not really worth it unless you can make a bunch of them.
Any other questions? Okay. You realize everyone wants their cereal box, and they're all gonna kill you after this. Okay. Go ahead, stand up. I'm just messing.
Later on they had like the big
Oh, for Toys R Us, yeah.
Yeah.
Was anything ever made at that time back in the old days, or did that all start?
Yeah, that all started later. Yeah, I mean, as things really moved, because remember the toy industry changed a lot during that time period. So Toys R Us existed back then, but Kenner was making displays. They were catering to drugstores and a lot of smaller places that didn't have room. They weren't focusing just on toys, so they really needed to gear their displays potentially for people that didn't have a lot of space for that. And so whereas late it's in the 90s that the toy industry kind of moved to basically the big box stores that had room for those kinds of things.
Yeah, we kind of ran out of time. We were going to touch on modern a bit, but basically, if you like modern stuff, you don't like modern stuff. Modern displays are easy to find and really cheap. So if you want to kind of start collecting displays, you might want to start with modern stuff. Giant Millennium Falcon. I mean, that goes in any label. Any other questions? You got time for one more question. Okay, yes. Okay, way back there. I recently moved to California, so all my stuff is in a storage bin right now. But I had them out. I didn't have them all out. I basically had some of them out, kind of on top of the figures. So I try to mimic how it was with the merchandising ads.
Yeah, and in my past apartments, I've had some shelves mounted in the wall, like up high, to put some of the headers and the pins on. I don't have enough space for that currently, so I just kind of rotate a few things that around my work area. But I've got a large flat. I like to be able, at least if I can't display things, at least be able to access it. So I bought large flat files, like basically big drawers that are, you can put things in. So at least you can get in and access them a little bit more easily than just having a huge stack of cardboard.
Yeah, really, I just keep mine in a suitcase, and you'll see me rolling around the convention hall with all my displays in the suitcase. Okay.
All right, let's thank Todd and Will for their presentation. Will does have some examples of some things he showed up there. You're welcome to come up and see them, but please be careful. These easels aren't that stable.